Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is not Thursday, which I was about to say. It's actually Tuesday, which means it's obviously Comic Insiders Live and not the Comic Industry Insiders Live and not the other podcast that I do on Thursdays. I am not Adam Freeman. I'm actually, in fact, Brian Garside. Adam is away on assignment. We're not sure where. I hope it's not the G7, but it may be. And if it is, God have mercy on all of our souls. So today, as a special treat, because I can't do this alone, I brought along two wonderful guests. I'm going to bring my brother from another mother, Django Bohren.
Returning regular is what I heard.
and our favorite database, Katie Pryde.
Hey, me.
Friends. Oh my gosh, we have so much to talk about this week. There is so much going on in the news. We're going to have a great conversation with Katie about not only books with pictures, but also the graphic novel library project. Probably talk to Django about his upcoming vacation and what he's going to do. Yeah. And we'll probably talk about our competing comic shop assistants. Somebody made me nod at him. That's great. Thanks so much. Let's jump right into it because we don't have a lot of time. Normally I wait around for people to join, but it's a slow day today. We've got only a couple people watching us.
I'll catch up.
They will. Let's get started off with the thing that Adam talks about every single week, and that is that you should join his weekly, not monthly, newsletter sign up. Someday I'll actually launch his new website, but to do that, we would actually have to focus on something for longer than 45 minutes. And I'm not sure either one of us are capable of that. With the monthly newsletter sign up, which is actually a weekly newsletter sign up, you will get the Prana Bullet once a week. And that tells you everything you need to know in comics. And this last week had one of the best poker analogies I think I've seen in quite some time. Megan showed up. Megan.
Comet updates coming soon.
We're going to talk Comet as well. So this last one was, did you guys read The Bullet this week, by the way?
I don't remember if I did or not. Thanks. Thanks.
It was basically, Adam said, it's time to show your hands to Universal and to Ad Populum. And he had a great analogy about, the turn and the river and the flop. And
yeah, I like that.
Flop's an interesting word to use when you're talking about the whole diamond situation, because it's a bit
and the huge discussion that we have every day about whether or not periodicals should be called floppies.
Yeah, that seems derogatory to me, but that's a whole other.
Who knows?
So sign up today and get your weekly updates from Prana Direct Marketing Solutions. Well, let's get right into the news, and we got to start with Zenescope. Zenescope's out a diamond. They're considering legal action. I believe they're now exclusively with Bilbo Distribution, which is the new distribution company out of New York. What do you guys think of this?
Well, I'm not surprised they're out.
Yeah, apparently they're owed at least $70,000 plus current unpaid business. And they're just not, it's the same story, right? They're not hearing anything from anyone.
Yeah.
So is this going to impact you guys at all?
I have maybe 2 Thundercats subscribers who will be a little sad because I am. Wait, no, Zenescope. Zenescope. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I don't.
Zenescope is Grim Fairy Tales.
They are so, frankly, lovely in person, and to their credit, have done a great deal of valuable work supporting the careers of early career female artists, in particular. And I give them props for that. And no, I do not. Nope. Otherwise, no, I do not care.
Yeah, I don't think we have many subscribers. So it'll have minimal impact on our store.
Yeah,
but I hope the Filbo thing works for them.
Yeah, I think I ordered 2 copies of Grim Fairy Tales. Yeah, for 2 customers, and that's it. No others. Diamond has also dropped their no-cost return service, which I believe, I don't quite understand what this exactly means, but I think what it means is that, like, as a publisher, you would ship everything to Diamond, and then Diamond warehouses and everything, and you used to be able to have them ship all the product back to you at no cost.
Oh, okay.
Now Diamond is going to charge for that, and since a lot of these distributors or publishers, have their product stuck in a Diamond warehouse somewhere, that's going to cause some serious problems.
Right. So this is for distributors, not for retailers.
Correct. Now there is another story in here about retailers' terms are changing. So there's no longer COD terms, and I don't think they're even allowing credit, although I'm not positive about that. But they've changed it to the elimination of COD terms. Please provide that response today. So they wanted credit cards. Frankly, when I started in January, I just put everything on credit card because it was easier. Yes, I lost that 2% cash discount, but man, I don't think about any bills. They just come out, except for Lunar. Lunar I have to pay every week and forget almost every week.
I mean, what I've seen for this is from Fabrice Sapolsky, who is Fair Square Graphics, which is a teeny tiny graphic novel publisher. He posted, I think, in correct levels of distress that they had already discontinued work with Diamond. Mm-hmm. Diamond already owed them money. Now they also have 7,500 copies of their books in Olive Branch that they can't get out. They have not been paid for what did sell. So I have the concern that there are a lot of small publishers who have been operating in good faith with Diamond, who have been fulfilling their end of the bargain, shipping product, like doing their job as best you can in small publishing, which is hard, who are not going to be able to survive this. I don't know how you would.
Yeah, that's there's a couple different stories like that have come out about this, and that's the no cost returns policy.
Yeah. All of it. Everything is throwing up new hurdles for smaller publishers. Well,
and the worst part of all of it is it's radio silence. So we don't even know what any of this means for anything.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to get solved sooner than later, because that's a void of information is always the death knell of anything.
And it's also, I do wonder, in the last handful of years where we've seen publishers, not even teeny tiny publishers, but small publishers like Aftershock run into problems, how much of that is behind the scenes, Diamond not paying or delaying payment, compounding. I'm not saying that like everything was fine and Diamond broke everybody, but I do suspect that there is a long-term cash flow problem on the publisher side that maybe we just don't hear about, because there's an assumption that'll be okay. But when you see creators saying, hey, I'm not getting paid by this publisher, how many times was that caused by Diamond not paying the publisher?
It's such a interconnected beast. From every indication I have seen, there's not going to be a Diamond Comics to distribute comics very, very soon. That is sadly true. Every indication being the orders that I've placed. I mean, this week, 2 comics.
Yeah.
None for me this week.
Comics?
None for me last week. I think 1 graphic novel from a tiny press the week before that.
Jeff and I haven't talked about it yet, but I think maybe it's safer to just assume that we're not going to get anything from them, rather than have these straggling orders that everything thinks we're receiving and then have them never show up. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth the heartache to place the orders, hopefully, for the 4 or 5 books.
Yeah, that's the scary thing. I mean, Dynamite technically has stuff on FOC this week, but I'm not sure if these have been resolicited or not, and just the dates haven't caught up yet.
Yeah.
But it looks like they've got like Darkwing Duck and Johnny Quest and a few others. But sometimes those things get resolicited and we don't even know about it until like later this week. So
Yeah.
Well, and I had been pulling in the Diamond FOC orders weekly, even when I wasn't placing orders, to get that data in place.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
But I don't know what that's for anymore.
Yeah. I don't think that data is getting vetted like it was. In fact, I know it's not. There's some weird cover price things going on right now.
Yeah, that's for sure. And then on top of that, we're also seeing just like there's so much stuff with some of the smaller publishers and like the PS art books and folks like that who have said they're no longer going to be distributing through Diamond. They were also doing their bookstore distribution through Diamond. So that stuff won't be available on Amazon and anything. And I've got a handful of customers who love that kind of stuff and are like, well, where do I get that from now? And I'm like, I don't know. And as a Canadian, I really don't know because it's crazy.
Yeah.
So many of our favorite people all at once.
Woo!
Hi, babe.
I ordered one this week, nothing the past 2 weeks. One single copy. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. Jeremy Shore said, hit that thumbs up, by the way, folks. So give us a thumbs up and smash it if you have to. It does help our algorithm. So get us seen by all the folks.
I'm trying to get you a definitive answer on whether or not Dynamite has books on FOC.
Okay, cool. Look at that. Producer Kyle producing behind the scenes. Had a customer ask me about Captain Planet 2 yesterday, and I had no idea what he. It's a crazy time. Speaking of crazy times, and actually things that are showing up okay. IDW's evolving content strategy, Diamond bankruptcy impacts. So it looks like IDW is saying that they have enough to be a viable company for the foreseeable future. So that's good news for sure.
Maybe they can hire a logo designer.
Well, they did. Kate. We just don't like their logos. And so that was good that they were one of the early jumpers to Penguin Random House quite a bit before all this shook out. I'm trying to think, were they first after Marvel or was it Dark Horse? It was pretty close.
Dark
I think the two.
Horse, and then I'm not sure actually.
Yeah, and on top of that, of course, we had the whole story of Penguin Random House no longer sub-distributing to Diamond. I had a couple interesting conversations this last week where people were saying like, I'm trying to find my Marvel orders on my Diamond list, and I was like, there haven't been Marvel on Diamond for 2 or 3 weeks right now.
Yeah,
so I'm a little scary for what those people have been doing the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So there's definitely going to be a number of shops in for some shocks.
A lot to keep track of right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you are, say, a shop that maybe never signed up with Lunar because you find their premise offensive, which I get, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you didn't sign up for Lunar before, how were you getting DC? And that's 30% of the market.
Some stores weren't, man.
Some stores weren't. Some stores were not on principle and made principled stances about that. And I think that's shooting yourself in the foot, but I also understand why somebody would.
And if they're still around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a store here in London that back, I think when all this started, decided they weren't going to carry DC, and they didn't make it a year. Yeah. When you lose 30% of your revenue, like how do you make it?
Yeah, you got to pivot pretty hard.
But it not been 30% of their revenue. Now,
true.
I genuinely think that before the current wave, before Absolute, All In, etc., DC was maybe 15% of our revenue, which is still something, but it's, but now it's more. And missing out on that advantage, I think, is also a big deal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Our store is weird, and it's always been like 30 to 40% DC, like always. It's so bizarre. Is it wrong that the logo? Yes, that is wrong.
Oh,
and,
might be okay.
You love the new IDW? No, you
No, I
would
don't
have
love it.
to explain
I don't love it.
to me in pictures because
It's matching with current style trends of having hidden lettering in logos.
that
I'm
doesn't,
Instead, it was a
gonna
good
need-
trend.
that
I'm
doesn't
going to
make
need a bunch of
sense.
examples, Kyle. You can just throw them up on the screen when Brian thinks he's in
It's why
control.
FedEx works.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I like
FedEx has always worked, and same with Amazon, right? Like they've always had the smile, and you've got the arrow. So, can you get DC without using Lunar? Not unless you live in Canada, where you could use Universal.
You
If
can
you're-
also use Universal in the US. You're just paying shipping charges from Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there
Yeah.
you go. And you'd have to navigate tariffs, which can be
A little
Fun?
trickier now.
fun.
Tariffs.
Let's talk a little bit about Webtoon and Dark Horse bringing a bunch of stuff to their platform. So it looks like they're bringing a bunch of Dark Horse comics to Webtoons. What do you guys think about Webtoons? That's kind of why I threw this in here.
They don't enter my life, so I don't think about them at all, I guess.
I am fascinated when a kid says to me, "Oh, I've read all of that already," when I show them a book. And the
That's
answer is, it was all on Webtoons and I didn't know.
Mhm.
But they also say that when they pirated the whole manga or whatever. Like,
Right.
and I think what's fascinating about the sort of Gen Z and Gen Alpha kids is that they don't necessarily have the media savvy to know if what they're reading is legal or not. I don't think
Sure.
it's even a conversation that happens in their head. So I don't think they know if they're reading on Webtoons or reading a scan.
Yeah.
Right.
That said, it's fine. It's teaching more people to read comics.
Yeah.
Read comics, more comics,
Read more
comics everywhere.
You know, that's an interesting point, and I've brought this one up a number of times, that like our collective generations, there's I think probably 3 different generations here. There are people in our cohorts who never learned how to read comics, right? Because if you don't learn the language of comics at a certain age, by probably your early 20s when your brain is elastic, you will have a hard time understanding panel progression and why this goes over to this page and stuff like that. My wife still a little bit struggles with it, and she lives with like that, right? Like,
well, and I wasn't a serious comics reader as a teenager, and really only got into them in my late 20s, and had to like sit down and deliberately teach myself. Like, it was the only reason it worked out for me is because I made it a project. Like, I am going to sit down with increasingly challenging comics and like take myself to comic school, because I was in grad school. I could read, 4,000 pages a week, but I sat down with, it was Pretty Deadly. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And Pretty Deadly is a challenging comic, and a lot of the narrative is in the pictures, not in the words. So in any case, I think it's good to teach people on Webtoon. I think reading Webtoon is still a slightly different cool skill than reading complex double spread comics. If you look at, say, what Hayden Sherman's up to, that's a very different skill. But still, like, I want people to know that they like reading comics, so when they see a comic shop, they go into it.
Yeah. Now this is kind of the part that I have brought up quite a bit, is that we have an entire generation of kids who are now in high school who grew up on Dogman, Catman, Captain Underpants. They have been comic literate since like toddlers, right? Like my kids grew up on Owly, and then they moved. Look at there. I'll bet you there's a kid that grew up on comics and that understands, the language of comics. And then kids get to high school. So in public school or elementary, I think you guys call it, or middle school, I don't know. You have different names for all this stuff.
We call it all those things.
You have the Scholastic book fairs, right? And those things like are basically comic book boot camps for kids. Kids get exposed to comics and they're encouraged to read comics. And then they get to high school and we completely 100% abandon them. There's no such thing as a Scholastic book fair in high school. There's no such thing as, and so I've been getting like ZCNs and stuff like that. And I give them to my son if we have extras, and he gives them and like all these kids are, oh my God, comics are cool.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like we need that street team in the high schools to show that this thing that you loved a while ago didn't go away because you aged. It
Yep.
actually caught up, is now on your level.
It's still there for you, and it's great. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that in a lot of ways, so Jasper just popped up in the background because they have been eavesdropping. And what they want you to know is that piracy is great advertising. And as long as you can make that link between this thing you're reading online is a thing you can go buy in the store, kids will totally go buy it in the store.
Yeah.
And I agree. Like,
we just need the pirates to include links to all of our websites. That's all.
Yeah, just a quick
Right.
little comic shop finder something. But like that's been my argument since Napster, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
the thing that screws creators is not digital streaming or digital access to webcomics or whatever. It's corporate models that are designed to exploit them.
1000%.
Like that's
Yeah.
I think that anytime somebody wants to experience this art form, that is good for us.
Kyle said future topic, ethical consumption under capitalism. 100%. 100%.
Yep.
I totally agree with the point about piracy not being, it is advertisement. The people who are stealing a thing are not the people who have the means to buy that thing 95% of the time. And if they do, they will because they want to support art. And that's a whole different conversation you have to have. Last but not least.
Well, real quick, I really should just start putting myself on camera during this show and butting in.
There you go.
But you look at what bands like Arcade Fire did.
Yep.
Where they would release stuff to YouTube first. They would release stuff to the pirate services first. And then the record would drop and it'd be the #1 record because everybody was hyped to go get the rest of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where I think Webtoon and some of these other services like Webtoon can really make a indent, right? It's give us the first 3 chapters on Webtoon and then send us to the store for the next Raina Telgemeier thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah, absolutely.
It'll snap.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, when companies started to get it, that like the medium was changing back in the music, there was 2 things they could do. They could sue their consumers. And to this day, one of my favorite bands growing up was Metallica. And I will never listen to a Metallica song as long as I live because screw those guys. They went after their fans. And I have no patience for that whatsoever. And at the same time, there was no way for me to buy music and put it onto my digital device that I had back then. So yeah, it's like you lost people and that sucks. But let's talk about a good thing. PRHPS, which I'd never heard this like Penguin Random House. It's like PRH. Why are we calling it PRHPS now? I guess it's PRH
Publisher Services.
Signs a new publisher, Ignition Press. So our friends at Ignition are going to be, I don't know if you guys have seen the like kind of teases they've done about San Diego, but it looks like they're going to have an activation, which is what the kids call the things that they do. Yeah. Really, really happy for them because it looks like they're going to have they've got a good deal with Penguin Random House to distribute their books.
Man, I can't wait. I know this is a different podcast, but I can't wait for the Data Bros to finally release our thoughts on hanging out with those guys in New York last October.
Yeah.
With the Ignition guys?
Yeah. Well, and that was a super fun event that we went to, and we'll talk about it on the Data Bros. We'll record that imminently.
Well, and we'll record. We're on time.
Right after this.
Always on time. And the other thing about like Philip is that they at Comics Pro made a big show of saying that they would be the first comic compliant out of the gate distributor or publisher. Yeah. So that's super cool. Super cool. Tommy Donovan says, "Stop teasing me." We're right on time, Tommy. Don't worry. We're right on time. Let's talk about. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Katie.
Oh, I was just gonna say I got to go out with Philip and Jeremy in Chicago this year, and I'm just excited about everything they're doing. I feel like the ethic behind what they are trying to pull off is great.
Yep.
If it works.
If it works, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about our friends at Comet. So we had our most recent Comet what was it?
Go on.
It's not workflows.
Standards and formats.
Standards and formats, which is now standards and formats and workflows. It was originally, there was a standards and there was a formats, and then there was a workflows, and we've just munged them all together into one thing now.
It's fine.
Yeah, because we're actually talking about
through all
now kind of the flow of how data comes in and what we're going to do with that as well. So yeah, we had our most recent meeting. I think we just basically read out all of the things that had changed since we last met.
Mm-hmm.
It was very quiet. Folks, I don't think had microphones or something. It was so quiet. So quiet. So quiet.
They just agreed with everything we said. It was great.
Which, I mean, how could they not? We're so compelling.
I mean, there is a thing where I wonder if folks from big corporations are told you can be on these call with your competitors, you just aren't allowed to talk. And I feel like if they would just tell me that, I would feel so much better.
Yeah. It just because yes, something's changed from like when it was very interactive, kind of in the early days to
Well, it's a lot less. So what we've done, do we need to set up what COMET is, or do
sure,
we think
let's
that
give
everybody
give it a minute.
This, Katie, this is your baby.
I know,
what's
but
the,
my baby
the
keeps me up at night, Django. When just before PRH got into the game, a lot of folks started sounding the alarm that there was a lot of data that we relied on to be consistent because it all came from Diamond, and if it was coming from other places, it would be less consistent. So we wrote back in 2001, we wrote a really compelling letter about the needs of the retailers, and we sent it to all of the current comics distributors, and we figured that would be the end of it, because we made our needs really clear, and that would make it fine and finished. And then it was not that. As PRH came onto the scene, on the one hand, they did not do the things in that letter, but on the other hand, they were very interested in continuing to talk about it. So we kept talking about it and established the COMET Standard to bring together Lunar's, Diamond's, and PRH's data and try to put it in a single format so that everybody would at least know what they were getting. And after a year of work on that, as promised by our initial timeline, we released a really good white paper saying what we actually needed, all the fields and formats for those fields of what we'd like to see in data. And most of the publishers and distributors said, we'll get right on that. And we have mostly not heard from them since.
Well, we do have a file from Penguin. That's available for people, and it sounds like Lunar's closing in on it. It's a big lift. As somebody who's behind the scenes working on it code wise, I have made less progress than Penguin Random House. That's for sure. And now that we have the file coming in, now Brian and I and anybody else who is going to be using it gets to figure out how to digest it. And I think, Brian, to your, the first year was a lot of collaboration on things that were a little bit contentious. And at this point, the things that we're talking about in those meetings are like, oh yeah, we kind of forgot this thing. We need to add this. We need to add codes for tariffs. There's not a lot of reason to have discussion or disagreements about the format of this universally accepted code.
That they already have in their feeds. So it's like, we already have this because we have to report this to accountants and things.
So it's mostly just like, hey, we forgot that this thing needs to be in there, and nobody in the right mind would disagree. Like I could see the conversation being, I wish that was field 109 instead of 113.
I think when we start talking about workflows and the flow of data and how it goes from one place to the other, I think that's when we're going to start to get some animated discussions, because
I'm really excited for that.
And there's going to be there's marketing reasons why you can't release stuff early. But there's also going to be data reasons why we need it, at least the skeleton of it. And that's kind of how we've built COMET. If I show this little screen here, if you're familiar with the book trade at all in the world, you know that this already exists and that this information is sitting there 6 months before anybody releases the information about the third volume of the Legion of Superheroes omnibus.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
And
been there
if
forever.
you're in, so I'm in some speculator groups just to see what's going on. And there are people who crawl those feeds
Absolutely.
so that they can say 2 years ahead of time, hey, there's gonna be a new League of Superheroes omnibus. I know because here's the ISBN for it.
Yeah.
Like, people are already watching that if they care about getting the bare bones data early.
Mhm.
And I think that what's going to be really important is to get the workflows set up that allows for seamless and continuous updating, so
Mhm.
that if a publisher says we don't want to give you the creators early, fine, don't, but make sure that there's a way for us to get it when you release it.
Give us the ISBN.
Yeah, for
early.
sure. Yeah. And I mean, you could call this Untitled Marvel Project, and then suddenly it's Deadpool Batman, right?
As long as there is an automatic feed to get it updated, which is
100%.
the workflows piece.
Yeah.
But if you are a person who has always made your data flow process, I download one file a month and import it and work from that, then this could really screw you up.
For sure.
Because it will be Untitled Marvel Project forever in your system.
Right. Yeah. And that's how so many of our systems have worked until now. Now we have, Managed Comics and Comic Shop Assistant and Comic Hub all have the ability to push things a little bit differently than Moby did.
For all the good and ill that comes with that, though, because I don't know about you, but I'm constantly fixing things that then the next time they update their data, which I told them yesterday was wrong, it overstomps the thing that I just fixed yesterday.
Yep.
Like we're starting to have to think about how do we have like confidence rating on data, right?
Yeah.
Like, should there be a confidence rating that says that if I, as Brian Garside, update that data, that the confidence is higher than what I can accept from the distributors? And who's the most confident in the distributors? Like, you may have to have that rating as well.
And that's why we haven't started pushing data down yet. It's that's the big puzzle, is how sure are you that you want to ruin somebody else's catalog with the best intentions?
100%.
Well, and that's in Comic Shop Assistant. There's various things like, is this field sticky? Update on import or not? Like, there are tools that you've built in to do that, but they're not really fine-grained enough.
No.
Like, in some ways, there should be a stamp that you can be like, I updated this series code and it is correct. Never touch it.
Leave it alone. Yeah.
And it's, and as anything else, override it when you get it. But this field, Katie says it's right.
Yeah. And also, Katie made Katie's right. That doesn't mean that somebody else made theirs right. So, like, figuring out the cascading effects of that's kind of the thing. Like, this is our own internal workflows, but how do we make it so that you subscribe to only title updates and we leave your barcodes alone, for example?
Right.
Yeah, as long as they're right. I mean, once they import 100%, like, the store owner should actually be responsible for updating barcodes. But before, they're so slushy. Like, last week, the Archie Kevin Smith project had 2 different barcodes, one from Lunar and one from Diamond, and one of them was right and one of them was wrong, and we had to merge those guys together because our stores that had Diamond for Archie had one code, and the ones that had Lunar had a different code, but they were the same series code. So
it makes everything confusing.
Yeah, it's not fun. So that's why that is hard. There's in high level software change management, every change, like your discussion I know.
Well, the problem is, Jeremy, I don't know if you know this secret, but Comic Shop Assistant is really low level software.
Yeah. Also, I am the change management department, and also the marketing department, and also
and it's 2 a.m. suddenly.
Revenge of.
Awesome. When we first started here, I realize now that because I know you two so well, I didn't even bother to introduce who you really were. I just said
Brian.
Django and Katie. I'm terrible at that. My assumption is everybody knows who we are because we've been
We're
so many
very
places.
famous.
Right?
Yeah.
We're very famous. You people should know who we are. We're very famous. Katie, let's talk about you. Who are you? Who is Katie Pryde?
Hi, I'm Katie Pryde. I am a comics retailer in Portland, Oregon, with a miscellaneous number of teenagers, currently 3, but I believe only 2 of them are my children. Just a random number of teenagers in the house at any given time. Yeah, I own Books with Pictures, which is a comic shop in Portland. And I also am on the board of Comics Pro, the trade association for professional brick and mortar retailers. And I am also the head of the COMET data committee. I'm also the owner and property manager of this building, which means I run a food cart pod and like take care of I have a record store that's a tenant. And additionally, I am a partner in a new project called the Graphic Novel Library, which is dedicated to helping librarians and schools maintain current, thriving, high circulating graphic novel collections. Probably do other things. I don't know. I'm tired. And
all the time.
The babies keep me up at night.
So many screaming babies.
There's two cats. They've been tearing things apart around me as I've been sitting here. Yeah, I do lots of things.
Django, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and I'm going to disappear for 30 seconds, and I will tell you all why I'm disappearing when I get back. Django.
All right. I'm empty nester Django. All my kids have moved out.
That's amazing.
It's weird, Katie. It's weird.
It will make me sad and happy when it happens.
I'm part owner of Comics Place in Bellingham, Washington, with my business partner Jeff. And Jeff and I also run Comic Shop Assistant, which is a web-based point of sale system for comic and game stores. We had a second toy store. We just closed that down to kind of zipper it into the other shop. But don't worry, I'm going to stay busy because we're working on starting a convention in downtown Bellingham. So it's probably fine. It's going to be great. Probably fine, Katie. I'm assuming
I run a convention. It's no big deal. It's fine.
Super easy.
Oh, your amazing idea of starting a convention on October right in front of New York Comic Con?
It's right after New York Comic Con, actually.
Perfect.
New York is early this year. It's like the 8th or the 13th or something, and ours is the 25th. It's fine, Brian.
Work out perfect. That's going to work out perfect. Yeah.
I guess. I'm also on the Comet. The Comet. Well, I don't even know what my role is. I'm on the Comet
steering committee.
I'm on the Comet steering committee,
and you're like the coach, the chair of either standards or formats, and I'm chair of either formats or standards. Yeah. Yeah. It's just we're just.
Don't you also like have a? Don't you also have a T-shirt company, Django?
I'm selling that tomorrow morning, Katie. I'm literally handing over the keys to Seattle tomorrow morning. Yeah. So I'm working hard to take things off my plate. Shadow, I don't sleep.
I'm proud of you.
We don't need to sleep. We don't need to sleep. Sleep is we'll sleep when we're dead.
Yeah.
Katie, your mention of cats reminded me that I have a dog who I had let out.
Yes.
39 minutes ago. and as you said that, I was like, oh, I was gonna let her back in before we started this. Oh no, actually it was closer to an hour ago I let her outside. And so she was just sitting there at the door, just like, will I ever come in again? Am I an outdoor dog now? She's not. She's now an indoor dog. Well, yeah. So let's talk to Katie a little bit about Books with Picture. Your store, Books with Pictures, is a very well. How would you describe it?
How would I describe it? It's an Eisner-winning comic book store. We are 9 years in. We just had our 9th anniversary. Additionally, we have a store in Eugene, who was just in the chat, that is 5 years in, that is co-owned with my business partner, Andrea Gilroy, who is a mensch. And we're a very deeply community-focused store. We focus on diverse representation and inclusion. So we have a lot of queer books. We have books from people of color. That's sort of one of our specialties in what we do. We also have a sizable manga collection, especially queer romance in our manga collection. We do an annual convention called Books with Pictures Con, or WIPCon, which just happened a couple weeks ago. We started to shut down the street, and it's an outdoor sort of comics party. What else? It's we do book clubs and signings and panels, and we're very busy, event focused. But I think the other thing that you put in your notes is that our bestsellers are weird, which is true. Our bestsellers are weird. So I pulled up
I didn't say weird.
my best.
I just said different.
My bestsellers are unusual. So we are about 70-30 in our split from bound books to books with staples to periodicals. So about 70% of our overall income comes from graphic novels. My best-selling graphic novel. I'm sorry. Somebody just knocked something over. It wasn't a cat. It was a child. Everybody okay? We'll go with yes. Okay. So our best-selling graphic novel for this year by the numbers is Saga Volume 12, because we're an indie focus shop, and by the money, by the income is Spent, the first edition of Spent that came in, which came in all of 2 weeks ago and is already our bestseller for the year.
Spent?
We Spent, the new Alison Bechdel novel.
Let's see if we have it.
I've sold 26 copies of it in 2 weeks.
Nice.
That's a book without pictures, though, right?
No, it has pictures.
Novel.
Is it graphic? Okay, sorry.
It's Alison Bechdel. It's fully cartooned and colored by her wife, and smutty enough that I've sent screenshots to Chip about it to make sure that he knew how smutty it was, because he likes that sort of thing. Also, other bestsellers in our books section are Big Jim and the White Boy, the David Walker graphic novel, sort of re-evaluating Huckleberry Finn. Chromatic Fantasy is actually our third year of being a bestseller for us, which is the smutty Silver Sprocket story about a transgender nun who makes a deal with the devil to break out of the nunnery. Tongues Volume 1 is a bestseller. The Night Eaters is a bestseller every volume. Somna is a bestseller. So The Hunger in the Dusk has been a bestseller for us years through. So it is on the trade side, you have to go down 14 items to get to a best-selling Big Two book for this year. And it is Ultimate Spider-Man, and it is in the 14th place in my list of best-selling books.
Wow.
Right? Like I just pulled this up right now. I too am surprised. And then if I look at, where the heck did I put? Django just ran a report for me last night about our subscriptions, and our most subscribed book has jumped. It is no longer Saga. It has been beaten by, does anybody want to guess? Most subscribed book?
Am I allowed to guess? I can
was
just
Batman?
pull up the report right now.
You saw the report. So it's actually FML. Kelly Sue DeConnick and David Lopez. FML is our most subscribed book right now. Followed by Saga. And again, let me open it. had it open and then I clicked another button and Lord knows where it is now. But yeah, so our best sellers and our most subscribed books are unusual. We had Marie Javins, who's the editor-in-chief at DC right now, in the other day, just because she was in town, and mentioned that the books that are bestsellers for us are the books that get canceled because they're bestsellers for us, but not for the industry at large.
Yeah,
which is
when
a real
I
bummer.
look,
And
FML is 258th in our store, which is a shame because it's one of my favorite books coming out right now. But
it's
yeah,
fantastic.
you are an anomaly between the two of us.
Yeah. And then, okay, so no, don't open Excel. You don't want me to open Excel. You don't even like Excel. In any case, Absolute Wonder Woman comes after that. Oh, I'm really struggling, guys. This is embarrassing on live TV. And by live TV, I mean YouTube.
I'm telling Nielsen.
So yeah, I think that's the other valuable thing to know about our shop is that our customers at this point, 9 years in, I can tell you the sort of tastes of our fan base, but they are specific and outside of the mainstream for what comics does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. Django, just out of curiosity, what's your number one?
It's right now. It's Absolute Batman, followed by Batman, and then Absolute Martian Manhunter. So the first indie we have is Saga, which makes sense, and it would probably drop a little bit if we tried to get a hold of some of the people who have 6 issues in their folder.
Oh my God, 6 issues. That's like 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's Batman, then Amazing Spider-Man, then Absolute Batman, then Detective.
Nice.
Then Absolute Superman, and Saga is the first indie.
Yeah.
I was wrong, actually. It's FML, Saga, The Power Fantasy.
Yes, that is correct.
Then Absolute Wonder Woman, then Absolute Batman.
Yeah.
And then Uncanny X-Men, which is actually tied with Absolute Batman, which seems right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
comic stores are weird,
wild.
you guys.
Comic shops are weird. And if you try to optimize things for comic shops in general, you will screw somebody over.
100%, because every
all
comic
do
shop
it
has its
different.
own ecosystem. Yeah, your product mix is different. Your client mix is different. Everything is different. 100%. Yeah. That's why people trying to like do a one size fits all process is just never going to work. Andrea says our shop subs run a little more traditional than Katie's shop, in large part, I imagine, due to the difference of comic shop saturation between Eugene and Portland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's 100% true. I mean, Portland we have got like 9 shops in the city limits, and 2 of them are easy walking distance from my shop, and one of them is 30 years old, something like that. Like the oldest shop in town is still open. And so if you're a person who you know where your shop is, you go there. We've been around 9 years, but a lot of what we did when we opened was pick up people who were either primarily online readers or had not previously been comic shop readers. And so I do feel like the people who hold up Batman as I just get Batman no matter who's writing it,
Mm-hmm.
Batman subscribers already had shops by the time I came around.
Yeah. Well, and you're doing something different, which is awesome. One thing that I've noticed, so when I migrate users from Comic Suite into Comic Shop Assistant, there's a step where I have to put my eyes on subscriptions, and there are 2 types of stores. One is a Tom King store and one is not a Tom King store. And they can both have the same number of Batman subs, but one of the stores has 1 copy of Human Target and the other one has 30 copies of Human Target. And it's really interesting to me to see that thing show up over and over and over. And I guess I probably notice it because we are a Tom King shop, and we have people who just get everything he does. But it just stands out probably because I have a stupid step where I have to match a couple of specific Tom King books to their series codes. And so I see those numbers every time I'm bringing somebody in.
That's really interesting. Ben Jub says ours is Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, Exquisite Corpses, because I think you're cheating. I believe that you're Tiny Onion's home shop, then Absolute Manhunter, Absolute Flash, and Absolute Wonder Woman.
Absolutely. I would say, though, I would add to that like we are off and on a Tom King shop. People like Tom King here, but it's not a guaranteed sell. But what we are is a James Tynion shop.
Yeah.
And if that man puts out a book, oh boy, it sells.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
So nice House on the Lake is in our top subscribed titles. So that's the other thing.
Let's talk a little bit about your graphic novel library project.
I would love to.
I just realized we have 9 minutes left, and we have scheduled 10 minutes for this and 5 minutes for wrap up. So yeah, we're gonna have to do a whole graphic novel library project episode.
Well, it's okay because it's a new project. So if you're watching online and you want to look at the website, it is at graphicnovellibrary.org. And it is a new nonprofit that is a project between me and my business partner, Andrea. It's so pretty. All the graphic design is really Andrea. It's all her. She's spectacular.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
And it is dedicated to finding ways to support libraries and schools in maintaining robust and high circulating graphic novels collections. And this mostly grows out of both of us doing a lot of work individually with schools and libraries and wanting to find ways to make that work easier and more streamlined. Right now, the project has existed in the world for a little bit under a year. We had our sort of big coming out back in, I believe it was April, but what is time, where we went to the Oregon Librarians Association conference down in Eugene and met so many librarians all at once, and it was terrific. At that conference where we were tabling as vendors, we got our first consulting client, and we just nearly wrapped this project for the Springfield Public Library, which was one of those very specific, lovely cases where they 10 years ago had a teen librarian who was very into manga and made sure that they had a fabulously well-stocked manga selection 10 years ago, and no one particularly had updated it since. And so what we got to do was take all of their circulation numbers on their manga and do some analysis on it. What is from what genre of manga, and does it matter how old it is to how much it circulates, which it didn't in that collection, which was really neat. And sort of established that we had this really engaged reading population who will basically read anything that was put in front of them, but specifically shoujo was overrepresented in the collection, was underrepresented in the collection compared to its readership numbers. So when we made recommendations for what they should buy with their available budget, we made sure that we were a little heavier to balance that out. Anyway, and then the final piece, which we haven't gotten to do yet because we're holding it for fall, is that Andrea is going to do a patron-facing presentation where we introduce all of the new series that they just bought and tell their teen readers what's in them, why they're cool, why they should pick them up, to make sure that that massive new books that's entered into their library gets a good jumping off point with the readers. So consulting is one piece of what we're doing, and I love it. I love the whole flow of it. I love getting to poke around in library data. I love getting to learn things about readers through looking at what they're reading. It's terrific. It's very fun. The other two prongs of what we're doing is that there is an online service that you can sign up to either monthly or yearly, where we are continually developing new assets that are book recommendation lists. and blurbs and a monthly, theoretically, I'm behind newsletter telling you what is even going on with collected editions of superhero comics this month, because the changes
Chaos.
between formats and content mean that if you are a librarian and you were paying attention and you had a fully stocked list of Spider-Gwen 5 years ago, but one of those books got checked out and didn't come back, you can't replace that book because that material is collected in a different format now. And so if you want to continue to have a full collection, you need to have a reference for how do I even get that? Yes, well, also that. So that is a $10 a month subscription to sign up and get access to all of our materials. The intention is to also have a programming component in that. So have pre-spun up materials on for your book club or whatever. And then the third prong is actually a book subscription service where you can sign up to receive the latest in whatever category you want. So the top 3 teen manga or the top 3 superheroes books for adults or whatever. So that's where you can see those adult reader monthly subscriptions is $475. We will send you 3 titles to your door. Do I have any subscribers for that service yet? Absolutely not. But I have confidence that we will. And we're really looking forward to being able to have that presence in the market that is really figuring out what support librarians and teachers need so that we can get that in front of them in ways that really genuinely help. I really believe that having comics in schools and libraries is really important. We were talking earlier about developing readership among teens. I think that supporting libraries and schools is a crucial part of that. Everyone in libraries knows that their graphic novel selections are some of their highest circulating books and get very, very little support and confidence. So we are trying to come in. One way to frame it is that if the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund and the graphic novel section of the ALA are about providing defense against challenges and censorship and all of those kinds of things, we are actually there to be the charm offensive. We are there to say this is critical literature that you need to have on your shelf. We're not just going to say that it's not pornographic. We're going to go a step farther and say that it is critical to understanding what literature is right now, and just sort of do that booster work.
That's very cool. That's
which I'm
super
pretty good at, but Andrea's better at because she has a PhD in comics.
PhD in comics
is okay. It's a comparative literature PhD that was done entirely on comics.
No, stop.
Yeah.
Just you nailed it. You nailed it the first time, I think.
Yep.
Comics.
So yeah, that's that thing.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, we will have you back sometime with Andrea, and you guys can tell us all about it and talk to us about these
especially I would love to check in a little bit farther down the road when we have it sort of fully armed and operational. I think that the ideas we have for it are the right set of ideas and we're just not fully activated yet.
Sure.
And in part, there are parts of it that are old hat. I work with teachers and librarians all the time. I have been a teacher. I'm from a family of librarians. I know how to do that work. And every time I start digging into how to do this job, I am humbled and on my back foot by things that I don't know, that I didn't even know I didn't know. And so making room for that has been challenging because I like being smart and I like knowing things and I don't like having to reevaluate what I'm doing based on learning new information. And at the same time, really cool because I get to learn stuff. Yeah. So there is a degree to which we are still figuring out what we're doing, and that has to be okay because otherwise I'll die.
100%. I mean, the what is the famous saying that the best battle plan doesn't survive first contact with the enemy?
Correct.
It's so true about anything that we do, right? And in fact, actually getting it out to customers and actually working with them is when you actually make the decisions that take it to the next level and make it better. So yeah, this is going to be really exciting, man. That's a fun project.
It's really neat.
Brian, we're 19 seconds over.
Yeah, it's okay. Cal never
Okay.
yells at me.
I heard it was going to be a tight
All right.
one, you guys.
It's usually a tight
Yeah,
one. It's
Tight
usually
230s.
But that's a perfect place to wrap things up right now. Katie, let's start with you. Tell the people where they can find you, and yeah.
Well, the most important place to find me, of course, is at the COMETstandard.org, which is where you can find all the information about the COMET Standard, including downloading our white paper and our implementation guide. And it's great. But for buying books from me, you should go to bookswithpictures.com, which is also where you can find out all about our store events and all those other goodies. For the graphic novel library, it is the graphicnovellibrary.org. Yeah. Oh, and I have a podcast.
You do
which
have
is,
a podcast,
which is right on time and never late.
Always on time.
Always.
And always on time, never late. Not linked to from my website apparently, and you can find that at the Books with Pictures podcast by googling it, I think, because Andrea, can you put in the chat what our website is for the
search everything optimization?
You can search it on absolutely any web platform and find it is not Tommy Donovan.
It is not nearly a
tight whatever it is. No, it is actually usually in the 30 to 40 space mostly.
I'm Django. Yeah. You can find me at comicshopassistant.com.
Oh, you went the
wrong direction.
Okay,
Comic Shop, the brand new rebranded Comic Shop Assistant.
It's really pretty, and I like it.
Thank you. It's a lot of robot arms.
I had to yell at Django last night because he had brand standards and immediately broke them like 30
it was literally
seconds
the
in.
first thing.
And I said, dude, you've already broken your brand standards. And he's like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm like, no.
And then I secretly went back and fixed it.
He did.
Also, my comic store is Comics Place in Bellingham, Washington. You can find that at shop.thecomicsplace.com. We also do a podcast on for our shop. It's every week under the More menu there, Brian. You can listen to us talk about the week's comics pretty much every single week. It is not a tight 30. It's about a tight 68 usually. And then, I'm also on the Comet steering committee. And let's see, I don't do the t-shirt thing anymore. Data Bros. I'm a data bro.
Yeah.
Along with Brian and my business partner, Jeff. We are the Data Bros, and that's another podcast. So you could just hear me blather all the time if you wanted. It's up to you. No
24/7.
No pressure, but I'll give you a life tip. If you put your podcast player to play it at half speed, I sound really drunk. It's good to go to sleep too.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You guys know me. I'm Brian Garside. I run Managed Comics. You can find me online at Managed Comics everywhere. Come join us for our webinar this Wednesday. Just go to managedcomics.com. Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be talking with Micah from Sort Swift this week. So come see that. And then come back next week for this show. Same bat time, same bat channel, 100% more. Wait, that would still be 0. A lot more Adam than we had this week. But yeah, thanks guys for joining me. It was awesome. I was kind of terrified to do this by myself. So great to have more folks.
My pleasure. Namaste, yo.
Oh, you did it. Namaste, y'all.
Oh, y'all. Yo.